Hey everyone, and welcome to the October subscription tasting video, where Daniel and I are going to taste 3 different coffees that we're sending out to all our subscribers around the world. You can subscribe for up to 6 bags. That means you get 2 of each coffee. If you subscribe to 3 bags, you get 1 of each. You can subscribe to 1 bag or 4 bags or 5 bags or 2 bags, whatever you like. You can also pause and upgrade and downgrade the subscription anytime and also stop it anytime. So check it out on our website, which is quite new or upgraded, which makes it much easier to do these kind of operations. So check out our website. So today we have with us another colleague from the roastery, Mr. Daniel.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. What do you do in our company?
So I'm a roaster, first and foremost,
Yeah.
and then I also deliver coffees, do some training and with some, or following up some customers like restaurants and wholesale with Ben. Also I'm a barista.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not from Oslo, you're from north of Norway?
Yes. Kind of in the middle of Norway,
Yeah.
like Mo I Rana. Also lived 7 years in Bodø. Yeah. So
North of Norway is famous for drinking a lot of coffee. So did you
Yeah.
drink coffee before you started here?
yeah, of course. I've been subscribed for this like from you long before I started working here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a few years before.
Nice.
Yeah, 2011 was the first time.
Wow. And then you worked in a kindergarten,
Yeah,
but this is your first coffee job,
my first coffee job.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight into roasting.
and you've been
Yeah.
here for 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, you were hired. Basically, we had Marit, who was our prior team leader. She went into maternity leave, and we had to hire a kind of a stand-in while she was away, and that was you.
That was me.
Yeah, and now you're here full time.
Full time. Yes.
So Daniel is doing a great job in the roastery together with Mats, who you saw in our previous video. And they're the 2 people roasting at the moment. There are more people who can roast in our company. I can roast, but I never do. And Ben, our wholesale manager, can also roast, but he never does. But so we are 4 people who can do it in
Yeah.
case you get sick or you go on vacation or something happens. But I'm kind of still head of the quality control and do the cuppings every Monday, decide how the coffees should taste like, because it's my name on the bag. But Daniel and Mats is also helping me with that work, doing cuppings every Monday, except the week when we roast for subscription,
Yeah.
because then we're super busy in the roastery. And how many batches do we do per day then
Probably around 40 batches in total.
for the subscription?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2 days, so that means 20 batches per day.
Yeah.
And it's full on, like.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So
It's a
just to
lot.
explain, like normally on a Thursday and Friday we do the labeling of all the bags.
Yeah.
So those are pre-labeled. On Friday you will measure up all the batches we're going to roast on Monday.
Yeah.
They're in our cool storage room, and then on Monday you roast 20 batches.
Yeah, and weigh up
And pack,
for the next day.
and pack everything, yeah. And then the
Yes.
next day you still weigh up the new green coffee for the next day, and then 20 more batches on Tuesday. And then you have to prepare for Wednesday's roast, because we always roast on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's long days.
Yeah.
First in, last to leave, but
But we're working on that as well, because yeah, it is very long days, and roasting is not as romantic as many people believe. It's hard work.
yeah, there's a lot of standing around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watching a screen
Yes.
and pushing buttons.
And pushing buttons, but it's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, at least, the fun part about roasting is tasting the results afterwards.
Of course.
And seeing that of course, it's nice to have good systems where you know you can nail the recipes and everything. But once you kind of taste the product and you're happy with it, then that's the most beautiful part. Except I'm never happy. There's always room for improvement. So that's why we do quality control every Monday. We taste the coffees, and sometimes, you know, they're tasting super consistent, so there's no need to change the recipe. But sometimes we have small variations, and then we see, okay, is it just a cup variation, or is there something with that profile that's made it taste slightly different?
Yeah.
And maybe that's positive, so we might change that for the new recipe. Or maybe it's slightly negative, so we watch the recipe and see, okay, how can we adjust so that that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, for sure. It's it can depend on week by week.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weather can affect and
Yeah, a little bit. It was much more before when we had our old roaster.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
now with the lowering, it's a closed environment, and you know, green coffee is not constant either. It's
No.
not like the same beans that you're roasting over and over again. It's always new beans. even though it's the same lot, there are small variations, of course, even within a small lot. So
and just by storing it, like it varies quite a lot.
Yeah. Over time it does, for sure. We do vacuum packing most of our coffees, except the Ethiopians. So they're quite stable, but still, if you compare, for instance, a Kenyan coffee that arrived in June, and if you roast that same coffee in January the next year, they're not going to be exactly the same. So that's why we have to develop the recipe over time as well to kind of suit the coffee pretty well. Cool. We're going to taste 3 different coffees today, and they are very different. And because we have now, for the last couple of months, we've sent out, for instance, the Caballero coffees, we sent out 3 different coffees from the same farm, where there is differences, but they're more subtle. And then last month we sent out 2 Ethiopian coffees from the same farm, and then a Kenyan coffee. Of course, they are different, but the 2 Ethiopian coffees are, more subtle differences. The Kenyan, of course, was quite different to the Ethiopians.
Yeah.
Today we're sending out coffees from 3 different countries, just because I want to show subscribers the diversity of flavors that we offer and explain a little bit why we buy these coffees. Because I personally don't want to drink the same flavors all the time. And I know that you, every time you're here in the morning making coffee, you don't choose the same coffee every time.
No, you get bored of it.
Yeah.
So you have to change it up.
Exactly. So I find it a lot of fun to buy different coffees with different flavors in mind. And that's why we purchase coffees in different countries. And also plant different varieties on different farms so we can get different flavors from the same farm. Should we just cut the crap and start to taste?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, so the first coffee is from Ethiopia, again, but this is a washed coffee and from a different farm than the Tatmara we sent out last month.
Yeah, that's good. Has this slight like stone fruit sweetness to it.
Yeah.
Also like peach-like, and floral, light, tea-like.
Yeah. Very tea-like.
Yeah.
Peach is a good descriptor. I just had a peach this morning.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a lot of that peach flavor. It's very delicate, this coffee. It's not like typically if you buy a coffee from Gachatha or Sidama, it's very like full-on bergamot, full-on peach, full-on florals, jasmine. This is much more delicate, I think. For me, it's more like a white tea kind of thing. It doesn't have too much of that bergamot, but more of the stone fruit and a little bit of the florals, but not this kind of pungent jasmine. It's more like a delicate floral.
Yeah. Very nice.
Super light texture. I brewed this on an Aeropress. I kind of struggle to get the same kind of delicacy when I do V60 or something like this on this coffee. So I much more prefer like faster extractions on it. That doesn't mean I grind coarser, but if I do a V60, I make sure that I have, like, for instance, the Abaca Plus filter that is much faster, so that you kind of have a faster extraction, but still a high extraction. You need to have a high extraction to get all the flavors out.
Yeah, unless it's just thin substance that you're drinking.
Yeah. So, and also with the Aeropress, I think it's so easy to extract fast with it and still extract a lot. So that's why I kind of like using Aeropress for this kind of coffees.
Yeah.
So this is from the farm Echemo. It's Khalid Shifa's farm. He inherited his farm from his grandfather. So this coffee is now probably a mix because he planted some new cultivars, the typical 74-112, 74-110, those kind of cultivars. But the majority of the farm is actually very, very old trees that his grandfather planted. And his grandfather just went into the forest and took seeds from the forest and planted it on his farm. So we don't really know what kind of variety this is. And they have never cut the trees or pruned the trees. So when you're at the farm, you think you're walking in a forest with some coffee, but the coffee trees are actually the forest themselves. So you actually walk underneath the coffee trees, and the pickers have to climb up to the trees because they grow quite tall, and the berries they produce on the top of the trees. So they have to climb the trees, and they stand like you know, 2 meters above ground and picking the coffees. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the trunks can be like quite thick. Yeah, for me this coffee is, I don't need every coffee to be the same. So for me this is quite unique because I know the story of it. It's also organically grown. They only cut weeds by hand. They don't use pesticides or anything. And Khalid is doing an amazing job, and he actually built a wet mill just a few years ago. So this is, I think, the 3rd year he does washed coffees. It's tasting pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
And after they started separating a lot, it's been super consistent on both roasting and tasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do, I think this year he only had 2 separate lots. We bought both of them because they were very good. Last year he had, I think, 4 different lots. And we actually rejected one because it had too high moisture and wasn't very consistent in quality, whereas the 3 other ones were pretty tasty.
Yeah.
So I still haven't been there enough to be able to say that, you know, we've been part of kind of affecting the quality here. My dream is to be able to go there a little bit more often and to, you know, maybe systemize the production a little bit more. But the production is small, so we only bought 50 bags, and that was pretty much everything of the washed coffee. So
yeah.
He also produces a lot of naturals and honey processed coffees, but he buys cherries from other farmers around and kind of produces that. So, but this is specifically from his farm.
Yeah, it is so cool that it just grows a forest.
Yeah.
And you usually just tell our customers when they are visiting the espresso bar, like, this is just a forest.
Yeah, and a lot of Ethiopian coffees are like that. Sometimes it's like garden coffees, which means they have a small house with some coffee trees in their garden that they harvest the fruit from. But this is actually quite a big piece of land where the coffee trees themselves are kind of very tall, but he's also planting native trees now to get the forest back. He produces honey there. Oh, the honey is incredible. So yeah, it's a pretty nice place.
Cool.
All right, second coffee. It's a huge contrast to the first coffee. I would say flavor in the flavor spectrum, it's kind of the opposite. So let me top you off here.
Yeah, this is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, has much heavier body, this chocolate feeling. Almost like nuts in the aftertaste, like hazelnuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chocolate and nuts, that's what it is.
No, it's a coffee, but it tastes like.
I really like drinking these coffees, especially in the morning. It reminds me of eating, you know, milk chocolate with nuts in them.
Yeah, it's so good.
Sometimes I get some dried fruits here as well, but it's mainly like milk chocolate and nuts. This is from Los Pirineos, Diego Barahona, who is producing his Bourbon coffees.
Yeah.
That is very old Bourbon trees, and this is a washed, which means they don't actually wash with the washing channels. It's a mechanical demucilage remover, and they remove maybe 90% of the mucilage and dry them on raised beds. Yeah. So I started buying this coffee because of this particular flavor. I remember it was in 2009 or 2010. I bought the coffee on Cup of Excellence because I really liked the profile, and I wanted to find something that had kind of a Brazilian style of flavor, like this chocolatey, nutty flavors, but with some acidity and a little bit more intensity and structure. And I found those in El Salvador, so I call this my Brazilian alibi, because you do get a lot of that flavor in this Bourbon coffee. And it's typical for this region. It's Tecapa Chinameca. Very sweet coffees, not very high acidity, and it's quite a warm area, and the altitude is like 1400 meters, so it's not the highest altitude, but great conditions for the coffee, and it's actually a volcano. That the coffee grows on a volcano, so here you can say that it's volcanic soil.
Yeah, it's super good. Like, as I said, heavy body,
yeah.
Perfect for this month, in October. Like,
yeah, cozy coffee.
Cozy coffee, yeah. When you're drinking before you go to work, like having coffee, and it's, in Norway at least, it's a little bit dark outside. Sitting inside drinking this is perfect.
Yeah, let's taste the first one again, just so you get the contrast. It's like two different beverages.
Yeah,
I would say that the Los Pirineos is more like drinking a Guinness or a dark stout, and the Ethiopian Echemo is more like a light IPA or a wheat beer. You know, it's like two complete different categories. So when people talk about coffee, they normally think about coffee as one thing. For me, it's like different things. It can be red wine, it can be Guinness, it can be Pilsner, it can be. But the problem is we don't just call it coffee.
Of course.
We don't really have any categories for it. Of course, we have natural and washed, but that for me is not good enough. We need to kind of think about coffee as a different thing. And I normally think about colors. So if you look at the flavor wheel behind us, you see it's differentiated with colors. And I actually think about colors when I taste. So the middle one for me would be brown.
Yeah, I agree about that.
And the first one would be like yellow to orange.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. So easy. And if you don't understand that, think about when you go to a candy store and you look at brown candy, you know what to expect. It's probably chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate
and
nuts.
You see some yellow, it's probably some lemony flavors. It's as easy as that. All right, the third coffee. Talk about a lot this video, but let's taste this. It's also a big contrast to coffee number 2.
Oh, you can just smell it.
Yeah.
That's a very big difference from these two. This still has this. It's light, it's fruity, but it's much more intense than the first one. It's more like this, like purple berry flavor.
So where is it from, you think?
This is Kenyan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this is coffee from Gachatha. We actually sent out coffee from Gachatha a few months ago, but it was a different lot. So this is the second lot we bought, and it's harvested a little bit later. And for me, it has even a little bit more intensity than the previous one. So ripe purple fruit, more of everything, I'd say. It's more fruits, sure. More acidity, more body, more. It's just like coffee on steroids almost, for me at least. And so refreshing.
Yeah, very. Like
it reminds me of drinking what we call in Norway solbærtoddy, which is heated blackcurrant cordial.
Yeah.
So hot blackcurrant cordial.
Also a winter drink in Norway.
Yeah.
So it should be perfect for October.
Perfect for the fall. We've been harvesting wild berries in the forest for a few months now, and it just tastes like that. It's like a berry
it's so good.
cocktail. So Gachatha from Nyeri in Kenya. It's a small factory very close to Nyeri town, and actually they're struggling with getting less and less coffee every year because the town is kind of growing, and a lot of the land where there used to be coffee is disappearing. So this is quite a special coffee, I think. They are very consistent in producing good quality. They're very close to the Karagoto factory, the Tegu factory, but still they are kind of always this kind of very heavy berry flavor that is a little bit different to the Karagoto coffees we buy, which I find to be a little bit kind of maybe lighter and elegant, whereas this is more like a meaty, like berry compote kind of flavor.
Yeah, because even though they are so close, like both are in the area and it's so different.
It's weird.
Yeah, so different.
Which is your favorite?
I like my coffee like in different situations. On normal, like I love a Kenyan, so I could say the Gachatha, but it's something special about a washed bourbon in, as I said, in the morning before coming to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Echemo is such a great Ethiopian, so different from what you normally will find.
I actually love when I wake up early in the morning. I love actually drinking Ethiopian washed coffee also. Yeah. Not always these kind of sweet coffees, because then my kind of senses are undisturbed, and it's so easy to get that floral flavor when you're kind of just waking up and you haven't been tasting anything kind of strong that day, and you get this kind of very delicate tea-like coffee. It's such a good start of the day.
Yeah.
But I also love starting with Los Pirineos, like a sweet, comforting coffee. And Kenyan coffees, I normally drink a little bit later on the day, actually.
Yeah, midday. Yeah. They're so aromatic, so.
And if it's still hot in your area, then the Kenyan, you can also make great iced coffees.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoy these coffees. If you are a subscriber, please let us know in the comments below what do you think about these coffees once you get them. And if you don't subscribe, check out our website where you can sign up to a subscription if you live all around the world. It doesn't matter where you live, with a few exceptions, of course. And we ship coffee all, worldwide. And you can subscribe from 1 to 6 bags, and we send out on the first Wednesday of the month, every month, all year round. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time.